Hi, I'm Stephanie Brown, founder of Intelligent Construction Opportunities, where we help construction pros understand how the right technology fits your role. Oh, goodness. Hang on. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I had the YouTube running at the same time. So today we welcome PypeServer. Whether you develop the BIM model, fabricate in the shop, or install pipe in the field, today's session is all about showing how to save hours and headaches on the pipe work essential to your project. PypeServer is a cloud solution meant to bridge your BIM and CAD designs, fabrication, and field verification so your projects have the right material cuts the first time. Today, we're going to start by welcoming PypeServer CEO, David Bazigi. How are you?
Hi, very well, thanks.
And David, do you want to share with the audience a little bit about your background, how you became CEO, and what PypeServer is from your perspective?
Sure. So I met the founder of PypeServer, Kelly Dillon, about 25 years ago, and we've been friends and kept in good touch ever since. And he started PypeServer in 2010 to initially to control plasma pipe cutters more efficiently, including a whole library of CAD importers for every CAD program out there that people were using to get data to their pipe cutters. I joined in 2019 to help expand the business to essentially every brand of pipe cutter, but also to get a greater footprint in the shop with automation of tiger stops and razor gauges and Scotsman machines and Kentucky gauge machines and manual tools. So we've since expanded to include software that we call PypeServer Lite for those kinds of machines, for any stuff that you cut with a straight cut, whether it's a straight cut or a miter. That could be all thread for hangers. It can be copper. It can be PVC. It can be roll cutters, saws, you name it, snappers, cast iron. So we cover the bases now with all the cutting tools in the shop. And we found very quickly that a lot of our customers were being challenged with getting the data from their CAD and BIM models down to their fab shop. And so in the last few years, we've put a lot of energy into developing plugins for every common MEP design software that supports them, including Revit, every flavor of AutoCAD, including Plant 3D and Fabrication CAD MEP, Inventor Tube and Pipe, and also now moving into the structural world with SDS2 and Tekla. And behind all that is a cloud infrastructure, which you'll see some of today as well, that makes it easy to get the data from those plugins into the fab shop where the tools live and our software lives. And because it's flowing through the cloud, there's full revision control. You're not cutting the wrong thing, an older rev. You can go completely paperless if you wish. And then the latest and greatest is a field app that can scan the QR codes that we print on the labels so that people in the shop and the field have access to the cloud as well. With just a click or two of the finger, you can see spool sheets and change statuses as parts are received and installed and QC'd and everything else. So that's my slightly too long introduction.
That's a high level, but what I heard a lot of is that you've really designed this tool to be able to integrate with the larger ecosystem. And next, we're going to move on to Sam. Sam Salentieri is, I believe, the VDC manager at Dilfo here in Canada, up in Ottawa, I believe, Sam. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you've seen firsthand how disconnected models can cause these install headaches. And what we're doing today is really giving Sam a big spotlight to show how it is that he uses PipeServer and why he does. And then certainly last but not least is Derek Burgeon. And Derek is the sales director at PipeServer. You want to tell the people a little bit about how you got involved with PipeServer, Derek?
Yeah, so a little background on me. I've been in sales since 2011, mainly focused in HVAC. Spent a lot of time doing pipe valves and fittings for a small company called Victaulic. After that, really dove into and found a love for virtual design construction. And that's when I kind of entered prefabrication, worked at another startup called M Suite before becoming the sales director here.
Very good. Very good.
Yep.
So you're really immersed in this particular area, which I think is very helpful, obviously, in your role. So Sam, let's turn it over to you. Can you talk a little bit about, why PipeServer? What difficulties were you having to face and you were looking to overcome with this kind of tool?
Yeah, so a little bit about my background as well is I had 10 years experience in the field as a surveyor, right? Dealing with the on-site aspect of things. Then kind of moved into AutoCAD and then moved into, more of a VDC MEP role and moved my way up into a managerial role. But early as 2 years ago, we were doing things on a 2D CAD platform with Excel sheets to do our spools. So we would kind of notch a little white line for a fitting allowance and then take a distance from that and kind of really, really primitive stuff, right? Just sending out these Excel sheets as bills of material, sending it to the fab shop in the back. Once we upgraded a bit to, AutoCAD 3D elements, we would print off some spool sheets with that, but there would always be new revisions. And so we would give this booklet of, hot water supply revision 1, we'd give it to the fab shop. And then, okay, well, we forgot this coupling or a half coupling here. So we would replace piece number 33 and I'd try and go and stick that in the pile of paper, but we don't know if he had the latest or if we put a scratch through it. So there's a lot of miscommunication, disconnect between the modeling, the shop, and the site, right? So even if we would kind of tighten our things up between VDC and the shop, it's not to say that when they got to site, the guys knew exactly what they were supposed to be installing, right? So it was very primitive and we were trying to get somewhere and trying to move this ahead. And it was about a year and a half ago that we kind of pivoted and decided, okay, we're going to move into Revit. We're going to move into automating things in the shop. Our VP had introduced PipeServer to us and said, this is the route that we're going to go. We got a Tiger Stop, which is an automatic cutting machine. So then we had to kind of pivot our workflow to kind of get this going, right? And then we did some experimentation and we saw that, the pipes cutting automatically. So it pushes the pipe through and cuts it at the distances that you want, which we're going to get into in the demo. It stores it, it nests it. So we're saving on material. We're getting accurate cuts. It's organized. It prints stickers, which I'm sure you can see here. We kind of customize them ourselves and they go directly on the spools. They're labeled properly, so they're not being shipped to the wrong spot. So there was much more communication and organization once we started to kind of tap into PipeServer workflows. And ever since then, we've kind of just been elaborating on it and just building and building. And we just see the time and the material saved. And it's just looking back, there's no going back. Like there's no going back after this.
Well, that's great. So you're going to show today kind of the application of it. Is that fair?
Yeah. So, and, full disclosure too, right? Like I'm just like a contractor, mechanical contractor, just trying to move along with all the technological advancements. And, what I really like about this workflow is that it's simple. It's a very user-friendly interface. You can get from point A to point Z to do exactly what you need to do. They make it easy to map stuff to your particular organization. It's a great tool. So I'm going to show, I wanted to reiterate the fact that I'm not, a software engineer who has any coding in the background here. I came from the field and this is where we're at now using this technology.
Terrific.
So up here, everybody can see the screen, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So up here is the add-in for PipeServer. So we will load it here. So what I'd gone and done is you can see these colors, and I took a very basic model from another project that we were doing and just kind of ran with it, right? So very straightforward, some spooling of some pipe, some threaded pipe. So I'd pre-done it to save some time so we don't have to go through the full process. But just to show an example, the workflow would be that now we would go and we would define our spool through Revit or any other plugins or whatnot. So we create an assembly that PypeServer is going to pick up. So I will just create a quick little spool right here of a fitting and a pipe. And we're going to call this 16, because you see that there was already a 15. It knows to pick up 16, create. So now when I refresh this, PypeServer picks it up. Okay, so now PypeServer, the way it works is it picks up your assembly. So we go and we predefine our spools the way we want them shipped on site. So you look at an example of threaded pipe like this. We'd want to ship this as one whole piece to kind of save on time and labor in the field. So we've gone ahead and created all of our spools like so. Most people are doing spool sheets. We use spool sheets all the way up until recently. So PypeServer also has that benefit that it'll pick up the spool sheet with the assembly, right? So you can create your spool sheet to your organization's fancy, if you will. So I'll show you kind of like what we have. So we would then generate a sheet for this. You can see that if it's green, it means that it's had a sheet created for it. So all these will have sheets created for them, spool sheets. And then you can go and create your own here. So just to show you what one would look like. Right, so you can see our company logo there. Like this is tailored
Just
to.
a second, we've lost your presentation. You want to put it back up again?
Sure.
There we are. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. So this is a basic spool sheet that got created on our end through Revit with our company logo. So every organization can create them the way that they see fit, but you have your pipe, your schedules and whatnot, which is extremely handy to people that are going to be fabricating it and installing it, right?
Can you zoom out a little bit more?
Yeah.
Sorry, zoom in, zoom so they can see a little more specifically.
Okay, so you have like a plan view of your pipe here.
Yeah.
Labeled. You have a 3D view of it, so you can see what it looks like in an isometric view. It's labeled per part fitting. You have your schedules here to say what exactly it is, the lengths, the quantity, the size. And you have your spool number. You would fill in this information for the project and whatnot, but this is just for a demo. So it generates all this automatically on our end, but PypeServer will pick this up with the spools. So just to show you what that would look like. So just to kind of,
lost you again. I don't know if you're clicking on something that takes you out of it, but let's do it again. Put it up again.
I think when the view changes, the screen share dies.
Okay, that would make sense. Do you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so up to now, you would spool all your pipe. I picked up these pumps as well because I want to ship them as one assembly. So I've gone and defined all my spools. Now I'm going to see what I can upload to PypeServer. So I generated all of these. This is what they're seeing as assemblies in here. So I want to create a cut file for my glycol return. So I'm going to do these and I'm going to exclude my supply. And I'm going to want to push this up to the cloud. So notice it's capturing spool. You're going to lose it because it changed the view. So just bear with me here.
Yeah.
But what's happening in the background is it's saying that it's capturing spool sheets. But it's flipping through all of them right now. So it would be impossible to share that screen.
Okay.
You'll
put it back up once it finishes it. No, you need to put it back up again.
I think I fixed it. This better?
Here's hoping. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
I think we got it. So it prompts you right where you want to go and store this cut file. So your account, the project that you want to do. So this was project site, PypeServer demo. The package name, we're going to call it glycol 15 to 24. And, when they're going to start it in the shop is up to them, but I know when I need it on site. So I'm going to give it the end date. And I'm going to upload it. Screen is still intact?
Yep.
Yes.
Looking good.
Okay, good. So previously what you didn't see was, before we got to here, is it showed that it was capturing the 10 spool sheets, which is what I had applied to the 10 spools that I'm bringing up. So we're going to see that on the cloud side of things. So while this is uploading, just to kind of recap, we defined our spools. So prior to this, what would have happened is we would have kind of defined them by hand. We would have done an Excel sheet. We would have given it to the shop. We would have printed out papers, and then they'd be pulling out their tape and they'd be marking the pipe. And then, somebody talks to John Smith. He turns over, it's the wrong mark. He cuts, it's scrap, and it was chaotic, right? So now this has been pushed up. And now we're going to go into our projects once you log in. So I'm going to find that project. And I'm going to look at the package that was pushed. So you can see the due date of September 19th, like I had applied it. It's in fabrication and none of it has been cut yet. So in here, you're going to see what was pushed up. So in this view, we have a bill of material where it's going to show fittings and pipe. Right, so you kind of got a full synopsis as to what was pushed up. You have a 3D view here on the side, where now you can see the pumps attached to it as well. So it's not just pipes floating in space. Gives you an overhead view of everything that came in. The spool sheets that I had applied were attached up here as well, so you can look through those one by one if you'd like. And then
who are the roles? Let's get very specific here, Sam. Who are the specific roles that would be looking at it at this point?
So our current, and again, everybody has a different workflow, right? But our current workflow, I like to have more quality control on the VDC side before it hits the shop. So once this is up, anybody has access to it. The shop has access to it. We have access. Anybody with an account and access to this can then view it. But since it is my team that's going to be pushing it up, as you just saw through Revit, I kind of like, so there was when the screen came up and it said that the cut file was uploaded, there was a preview little link below there that would bring you to here. I'm encouraging my team to look at this. So in terms of roles, VDC is still holding the torch right now to look at what was pushed up, because there's a lot of mapping involved as well. And there could be, you selected a few extra things in Revit and pushed it up. So the idea and the time and money saver behind PypeServer and TigerStop is that it's automated. So you really want to make sure that there's no extra little mistakes in there, that while the other worker is off assembling something and this is running on its own, it's not going to cause a bunch of mistakes. So through this, I saw personally that there's a 1-inch piece here. We typically wouldn't do that. So this is a level of quality control that I get to see, right? So I'm going to check these off and kind of flag it and get rid of them or whatnot, but that's not the purpose of this. The idea is to show you that you can kind of quality control all this before it goes to the shop. Now, all of these headers here are specific to what you want them to be. So I'm going to go back into my Revit screen here. And you see the screen didn't leave, so I think I fixed this now.
Yep.
In these settings, you have your data mapping, which, again, like I was saying earlier, from the construction experience, not being a software engineer, this is game changer, right? So you want to see the size. I've created my own parameters in Revit for a Dilfo nominal size. So a lot of the times you'll see through Revit or any other programs that you're going to use, you go to use a 4-inch 90, it'll report 4x4. Nobody calls it that. You order a 4-inch 90. You know what I mean? So I've created these parameters. Same thing with the material type. Revit by default, a lot when you use different systems, wants to throw a number at the end. So it'll be, type L copper 1, 2, 3. So it'll treat it as a different system. So I've kind of bypassed that with my own parameter as well and kind of name them the way that we see fit. But PypeServer kind of lets you map that out. So by doing that, back on this screen, it's reporting schedule 40 carbon steel. This is how we know it. Now we can nest everything through all of that material. So if I had copper here too, we can go and cut through schedule 40. We can cut through all of our copper because we've set it up that way. Same thing with the sizes. We've made it more applicable for sizing. So the way that we actually order things. So that was that. Then you could do your fitting takeoff here now, which is going to pick up just the fittings and give you the quantity. So a bill of material in that sense. I need 990s or T's. I need 390s, and so you can kind of do your bill of material through here. But the moneymaker is this. So this is what the shop is going to see. So this is, again, right now the torch is still in VDC's hands. You wanted to know about roles. This is the last line of defense before it goes to the shop. So this is everything that's going to be sent out there. I'm looking to make sure that it's all reporting the right material. it's the right size, it's the right cut lengths, everything looks good. So I can go through all my pages. These are strictly reporting what is to be cut. Okay, so once I've gone and I've done my quality control through here and I'm comfortable with what's going to be there, I'm going to get ready to send it to the shop. So again, I'm, kind of promoting the particular workflow that we use in this organization. Other people do different things. The idea would be that once the torch gets passed over to the fab shop manager and he gives it a review, he can send it to any machine that he would like. So I want to send it to the plastic station. I want to send it to the Tiger Stop. I want to send it to wherever, right? So he can kind of push it that way. What we're currently doing is once we get to this stage here, we now alert the fab shop manager, okay, this spool package of glycol return 15 to 24 is now ready for fabrication. You have a due date. Once you go into your dashboard, you're going to see it. Go nuts. So what he would do, and which Derek is going to demonstrate shortly, is from the Tiger Stop, the software interface that you're going to see there, they're able to pull all of this directly to Nest onto the machine and do its work. So while it's, you load up a full stick of pipe of 252 inches and you tell it to go and cut 20 pieces out of that, argument's sake, the worker can now kind of just go off and start assembling and tacking, saving labor at the cutting station as well, right? So this is the upfront work that we do to save that time and energy in the shop.
Good. Did you see John's question? Is there an option to revise the spool length to be extracted?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, one of our viewers was asking, is there an option to revise the spool length to be extracted?
Through here? I'm not sure if you could do it through here, but this would be a good opportunity to say, okay, well, this is not what I want it to be. So then you can go back into your Revit interface, make the adjustment and push it up again. Correct me if I'm wrong, Derek, but I think.
Yep.
So,
yeah, you also have the ability within that data mapping settings, if you were to say, for instance, want to make a field cut, you can write a script or rule-based parameter that says, hey, anytime we see an end condition that has FCS field cut system or whatever you guys want to deem it, you can add a root gap to it, and a negative root gap would extend that pipe back out 6 inches. But you also have some other ways to kind of make some aspects and changes to that as well. Renee,
yeah.
Yes, we are doing weld mapping, and because the system knows when an individual is making updates or changing the status within the system, we are populating, weld logs for that.
Thanks for those questions.
So yeah, no, that's what the workflow looks like on this side. Again, it's made huge advancements from where it was about 2 years ago, thanks to all this technology and software. So I think if anybody doesn't have any other questions on this side of things, I think we're pretty safe to say that this is what, Derek is going to show what shows up at the Tiger Stop in the shop.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you keep this up, and maybe afterwards we can refresh it to show exactly what's been cut.
Sure.
So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Derek disappeared.
I'm going to bring him back.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. So this is PypeServer Lite. This is the interface that Dilfo has at manual cut stations as well as a Tiger Stop. This interface also integrates with RMT, band saws, Tiger Stop, Tiger saws, Kentucky gauges, and razor gauges. And then, as I mentioned, any manual cutting, band saws, chop saws, snap cutters, you name it, we probably can help you out. So with that being said, we give a couple different options to go ahead and you can look at the account. I'm going to go to Dilfo's account, and we have the project right here that Sam uploaded. I will simply select this, import the cut list. You can see that it brought in 35 parts. I hit OK, and the first thing it's going to do is prompt me to load my stock. It's going to say, what length of pipe are we currently working with? Well, we can put 252 as our single random. That would be our set of truth. But say, for instance, our shop has a scrap pile. Those scrap piles can be ever growing, but let's put them to work here. And what we have the ability to do is say, hey, we have a piece that's 36.5 inches, And if you're doing heat number tracking, we can go ahead and throw that number in right there. Then we could say, hey, we have another piece that's 96 inches and it has this heat number to it. And then after that, it's going to go to the stock, our standard stock length of 252. We hit OK. And what the system is going to do is utilize a nesting algorithm to basically pack in that first stick of pipe with as many cuts as it possibly can. So you can see right up here, we have 3.5 feet, 3.5 feet of a piece of pipe. Here's the rendering of the pipe down below. And we have our current part and our next part that's in the queue. If you're utilizing a manual cutting station, I do not have a tiger stop right here, but manual cutting, it would just say, go ahead and measure. It will tell the guys to pull their tape to this length. They make the cut. And then in the background, it is printing a label. Can everybody see that label?
Yes.
Okay, great. That label was customized with all the data that was pulled directly from Dilfo's project. Project name, type, part, length, heat number, so on and so forth. That is customizable. I can go into that in a second. Let me just kind of clear some of this out and make cuts. You can see that it prompts us to make the next one. It's identifying the last part here, the current part, and now it's even printing a scrap label that's a 1/2 inch. Within our system, we give you the ability to not only customize your cut labels, but also scrap parts, so that if there's any pieces that are a little bit further, a little bit smaller that can be reused, you can put a label on them to keep track of the heat numbers and kind of keep the guys in the shop from guessing what they have on hand. When it comes to our labels, we once again go back to the Revit aspect of things. With data mapping, we allocate properties, model properties to PypeServer properties, and then allow our users to add text, barcodes, QR codes, custom fields, and it's just drag and drop. And if you don't like it, you can simply just move it to the side or delete it. You can have multiple templates. During implementation, we hold our partners' hands and to making sure that they have the templates that they want, and obviously they can have more than one. When it comes to, let me get out of this. When it comes to the scrap labels, you can customize that as well. I have a real basic one that just says return to stock, outer diameter, material type, length, and then the heat number. And once again, if I were to test print this, it should populate right here. So it's returning to stock. There's our OD, our length, material, and the heat number that I put in. So keeping track of all that information is key, especially when those heat numbers get cut off, because, if anything were to happen, catastrophic failure, you kind of want to be able to, go back to your PVF provider and say, hey, this is a batch that kind of, had a failure to it. Within PypeServer Lite, we have the ability to cut across multiple cut plans. So I can combine cut plans. I can create new ones. I can add new parts. I can edit parts. I can mark things as cut. And then I can even add defects into the pipe, which will allow us to say, hey, we're, 15 inches in and it's, 2 inches long. We can hit OK. And then it will add the defect directly to it and then make the adjustment to the pipe. So this way we can pack in as many cuts before the defect. And once again, that's utilizing a nesting algorithm to make that happen. Also within our settings, you do have the ability to add, where am I at here? Probably can add head cuts and trim cuts, if I can find it here. If you're doing it with a tiger stop or tiger saw, they're here. You can add trim cuts, head cuts. You have the ability, if you're doing fire protection, to put the waste in the middle, because our PVF wholesalers, and when you buy groove pipe from them, you want to make sure that that groove stays with the pipe, so you can actually nest the scrap to be in the middle. So this way you're not cutting off that groove. When it comes to the tiger stop, we have a whole bunch of configurations that we do. Once again, we hold your hand. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes to get someone up and running. We can have push, backstop mode, automated cut cycles, and actually, control how many seconds before or after the cut has been made.
Can you talk a little bit about that hand holding, Derek? Because I think that's really important to the audience.
Yeah. So PipeServer really takes pride in our customer support. The people that you're going to be dealing with, we're all stateside, and our lead developer Ricky Bell, he's the guy that's going to be doing not only creating everything for us, but he's also doing all the implementations. So when it comes to setting up your Revit toolbar, making sure that goes correctly. Making sure that your data mapping is properly done. If you're adding in additional data fields or end condition cuts, depending on if you're utilizing a plasma cutter or something of that sort, we go through everything with a fine tooth comb, make sure that we're capturing the right data for you, exporting it properly, and you're getting the results that you want.
And is it fair to say, I mean, Sam, you can speak for yourself. I mean, you're on this call. Quite frankly, let's be honest, the hand holding really doesn't stop. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I can attest to that 110%. There's still, anytime that I give a phone call or reach out like, hey, I need help with this, it's almost immediate that I'm getting assistance. And it might, and I'm sure that, a couple of these guys can laugh at the situation, but I've reached out for what to me seems so catastrophic. And it was like a checkbox or something extremely simple. And I was never made to feel like, like, oh, you should know this or whatever. It was okay. Don't worry about it. There's a lot of things going on here. Go check this box. Let me know how it works out. I'll touch base with you again in a week to make sure everything's good. And it's been like that ever since we've been with them.
I'll jump in here and say that there are other companies that provide workflow solutions for prefab, and I think it's fair to say that we collaborate with these companies. We have a good working relationship with them. We do. Our core competence is in machine control. That's where we started, and most of these companies do not have a lot of core competence in that area. So we do machine control for other companies that offer workflow solutions. So we know them well. We know their products. And I think it's fair to say that they are by and large focused on the top 400 or 500 mechanical contractors in North America, and their systems are very powerful, but tend to be complex, tend to be expensive. And so we saw an opportunity here to provide a very simple system that is not self-explanatory, because nothing is, but it's easy to climb learning curve, and you can be up and running and seeing results in weeks rather than months or even years. And so that's kind of where we've aimed our development efforts and our product specs and so on. Not to mention our pricing is to make it so that smaller shops that maybe aren't using Revit yet and are climbing multiple learning curves at the same time, Revit and paperless workflow and automation in the shop, it's a lot to bite off and chew on, and we don't want to make our part of that particularly difficult. So that's our focus and our emphasis is affordable, powerful but easy to use solution that really gets the basics right. And over time, we're adding more and more things. There was a question about weld logs. That was just launched in the last month or so, and so we're gonna sort of evolve our way based on the customer feedback as to what's most important as far as new features are concerned.
Well, as you can see, Jared has a question about setting up the properties.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I could show you that real quick.
Sure.
Do this. So.
And Sam, I think your perspective on this would be helpful as well.
So when it comes to mapping, say for instance, this is our Connect plugin. You do have the ability to go in and like grab a piece. It'll zoom in directly on that individual stick or that assembly or spool. And then we have this lookup here. So you can see that exactly what data is being captured and where it's being allocated. So then if we're missing a piece, part, or what have you, you can go into your project properties, identify exactly where they're at here. And then when you go over to our data fill or data mapping, you're just going to cut and paste a project property from Revit, or same deal if it's AutoCAD, Fabrication MEP, or Plant 3D. Grab it, drop it in here, and then select, whatever field that you want from our laundry list of options, to allocate to that field. And then from there, we would go back and kind of do some mapping. So you can see with mine, MPrep 1, MPrep 2 is connector name 1 and 2. So if we look again, when we scroll down, we should be able to see where that's at. Job name, fitting. Here's our endpoint. Let me shoot myself in the foot here as this happens.
It's interesting we can't do a search on that.
Yeah. End part. Here we go. That's endpoint again. Of course, I grabbed one that, not making the most sense for me, but, it's really easy to do. It's just a matter of cutting and pasting.
So I can elaborate on the second part of that question as to how many attempts did it take and how did you go about it? And I can honestly say it took me one attempt because I didn't know what I was doing, and I reached out to PypeServer. And do you see how eager Derek was to just help right away? Like, this is exactly how it is. I have an issue, I reach out, and within a day or so, okay, let's pull up your screen. What is it that you're doing? They help me do the mapping because that's not exactly apparent to everybody that's coming from Excel sheets and measuring tapes and all that, right? So their customer service is phenomenal, right? So they helped me do that. So it took one attempt. It took one attempt to reach out for help, and they helped.
Well, that's a great answer, Sam, because that's what the audience is looking for. It's all great to, to bring the technology to the building side of the world, but it's a whole different story when your mentality is not that. It's not workflows like that. Jared's got another question. How is scrap inventory tracked and used for future projects?
Within our enterprise solution, which is more for plasma cutting, we do have any type of drop. It will keep track of your inventory in that aspect. As far as the PypeServer Lite, essentially, you're looking at utilizing labels and tracking that. As far as what your BIM team knows what is available within our PypeServer cloud aspect of things, you can set up different customized fields. So this way you can know what material has been received and so on and so forth. As far as inventory, we have not gone to that level yet. You can see Sam has that inventory label right there. So.
Yeah, I think that's a good question about how does the BIM team know what's available. I think at the moment the sort of the scrap and drop inventory is a shop function within our system. So it's tracked within the software that runs the pipe cutters, and as you saw with Derek's demo, it's also tracked within the Lite software that controls the straight cutters. So you basically enter an inventory of drops, and it will preferentially nest on those drops until they're all consumed. And then once they are, then it'll go back to the standard stock length. But that information is not relayed back to the BIM team because it's more of a shop function. That's an interesting idea if it's important for the BIM team to be aware of what the scrap inventory is. We could talk about that. It probably wouldn't be that hard to convey that information back up into the cloud.
So I want to kind of segue a little bit to who is the ideal kind of size of company. Maybe Sam, you can talk to what a little more deeper into what Dilfo is all about. That other people viewing this would go, yeah, I could benefit from this. I mean, do we want to look at enterprise, or what are your thoughts on that, David?
Go ahead, Sam.
No, I was going to step in and say, I think what would be beneficial for the group is to really see how the project tracking goes on inside the cloud. And then also, the data analytics aspect of what we're offering within our system. So I can show that real quickly.
Sure.
Or unless, Sam, do you want to bring it up and we can show how the cut reports? I mean, here, I'll just do it. I kind of have it loaded. Let's go here. We'll share and we'll take a look here. So when it comes to the projects and the packages that we have, I should be here, and let me switch. Bear with me. Dilfo. Let's go to their project. So right here, you could see if we look at the PypeServer demo. If you recall, we had it in fabrication, and we had at first nothing was cut. Now you can see that the progress has updated. 22 out of 35 pieces have been cut. So we do have that information readily available to say, hey, what are we looking at? This was automatically updated after the cut sequence was finished. And give me a second as I'm trying to manage a weak signal and publishing here, but you can see it was ready and then it's been cut and it's actually doing the timestamp. You can see that Sam was the one that pushed it up and then I was the one that cut it. So we are keeping that track for that information as someone had asked about well logs. And then when it comes to the reporting aspect of things, because we are getting new projects that happen all the time, I'm going to go back into a different project that I was working on here. And we could say, hey, let's look at this individual project. Let's look at this time frame of this month. And let's look at all of our machine performance so we can understand what exactly is going through our shop and how long it's taking. And we have different reports. So in this report, we're going to see not only our machine reports, what's been cut, how many cuts have been made, but the cut length by size. And how much is being cut by individual size. We can filter that down by material if there was more material here. We are, tracking average cuts per day and average welds per day, and then the diameter inches being welded. And my shop is on fire right now, mainly because it's a virtual one. So 601 weld inches for the week. If we want to dive a little bit deeper into comprehending throughput and where bottlenecks are at, we offer a interactive interface here that not only allows us to say, okay, show us our cloud events, but this is an interactive one that we can actually kind of say, all right, everything has been done. Where's our bottlenecks in the shop? It looks like we have a lot of parts that need to be assembled. And, here's our insight into our packages. What's on hold, what's been approved for fabrication. And then even when it comes to that weld tracking, we then can understand, not only what material is going through, but we're having a timestamp of did it pass QC, what type of gas was being used, and did it need to be x-rayed, yes or no. And then you can even write the reason why something had failed. Another aspect, if you recall in the beginning, Sam put in a due date. Mm. And this really allows us to comprehend our, shop's workload capacity by allowing us to populate Gantt charts. So not only can I take a look at this individual project and see where things are at and when things need to be delivered by, but if I want to take a look at my overall project or my overall shop, I can go ahead and refresh, and it's going to look at all of our projects for this month and then populate a chart based off of that as well.
Good. Sam, are you using parts of this? And if you use them, are they going back up to, I believe it would be your manager or your director who turned you on to PypeServer to begin with?
So, yeah. So, there was two things that were shown there. There was the reports, and then there was the kind of statusing. So again, we've come from using Excel sheets and measuring tapes and all that. So we're kind of implementing this throughout the organization. So the shop is starting to utilize the status changing. And yes, my VP has asked for reports through the things that we're pushing up there. And it's it reports very nicely. So yes, we are utilizing that. And kind of circling back to the question of who does this, who's the target audience for this type of thing, right? Like, I think as soon as you're going to go digital, that you're already in the playbook for this, right? Like, even if you're like a 3-person operation, one at the computer, one in the shop, one installing, it can start that simple. But as you see with these reports, I mean, we can have, 3 office buildings under the same organization. We want to pull reports for all of this data. So it can go from very minimal to very massive. I think it's really depending on how you want to utilize it, right? So I think anybody going digital can benefit from this.
Okay. And I just have one other question, and that is, what happens if it gets on site and something is wrong? It's obviously it's not fitting into where it should in the site.
I get a phone call.
You get a phone call. So is there a way that PypeServer is structured to be able to sort of reverse engineer that issue?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it really depends on how your workflow is customized. So when we get to the fabrication tracking or project tracking aspect, you really can have different. I'll share my screen again. You can have different milestones within your fabrication or your project workflow. And essentially, if we were to take this all the way out to, say, the field, let me go to a project. Bear with me. So say we're looking at a project here. What we have the ability to do is customize these statuses. And they have rollback statuses. So in my hypothetical fabrication shop, I'm going from waiting for things to be approved to actually being installed in the field. And then you can see that we have these rollback statuses or the next statuses. So if something happened on site and it needs to roll back, you can actually prompt it to give it a reason, write a script, essentially. So if we say, hey, anything is rejected here, notify team members. And then also, you can just say, hey, reason. Actually, it's right here, reason. And then you throw a reason in to why it was rejected. And then the same thing could be, used at any point in time. But once again, this interface is meant to be customized. So not only can you guys, update team members when things are, approved for fabrication, but you can also automatically change statuses and then have some reports built out for that. So going back to your initial question, if something happened in the field, they have the ability to utilize the web-based, browser that you're looking at here, or Android and iOS field app, and then change the status and then report the reason why it was, rejected.
Do you have that available, Derek, just in terms of showing it or not? Yeah.
Yeah. So say if I go to this individual spool here and I go and I select it and I'm going to say, hey, this is, we'll kind of move it along a little bit. Bear with me as I update some statuses, but we should be able to, once it's assembled, kind of drop in, unless I don't have this written out correctly on my end, which is going to be perfect. Here it is, rejected. And then you could just say, cut too short. Set the status. It will roll back to rejected. And then it will be a notification to our team, which I just got on my cell phone, that says, hey, this has been rejected.
Okay, so now that we know the pipe is rejected, so Sam, what is the benefit in the turnaround for you to course correct on behalf of the field?
Well, yeah, it kind of goes back to what you were saying about the reverse engineering, right? So usually when there's an issue on site, the biggest thing is what caused that issue. Mm-hmm. So, let's take it back a notch. And, this is my second week of using PypeServer. So I've got, this sticker on the pipe, and I know that it's supposed to be 3 feet long, and it's too short. So I go and I physically measure it on site, and it's only 34 inches. So, okay, it was supposed to be this. It was a cutting issue. So now we can go back to the shop. Why did this happen? So let's look into our, our dashboard that we were just looking at the cut pieces. Was it reporting incorrectly? Was it the blade? So we can kind of reverse engineer that to figure out the problem to give it a solution. At that point, there's nothing we can do at that. We can't stretch the pipe, so it is what it is. Let's figure out what happened so that we don't let this happen again. But it's much easier to do than when it used to be hand drawings on paper and scribbles, and it was lost. Whereas now you can kind of, like you said, reverse engineer to see where it went wrong and improve from there.
Well, to me, that's the important, because when, there's quote unquote the labor shortage and all the things happening in the field, and then your VP wants to see why, the schedule had to change or what have you. I mean, those are the greater impacts of that. So I think it's important that we talk about the holistic way that PypeServer affects the output and reverse engineering should it need to happen.
And just to expand on this a little bit, I think one of the real benefits of going paperless and having this digital workflow all the way through is you have essentially perfect communication on the automated steps. So when Sam sends something from Revit or AutoCAD, if you're using that, or anything else, up to the PypeServer cloud, it doesn't get corrupted on the way. It's the information is essentially perfect. The only time you can really get into trouble and introduce error is the number of opportunities for error introduction goes way down, because you're no longer manually programming machines off of spreadsheets and fat fingering numbers and that sort of thing. Really, the only thing left where you have an opportunity to make a mistake in the cutting process is we spit out the labels one at a time as the cuts are made. You can set it to spit them all out at once if you want, but most people do one at a time. So there's a cut, label comes out, operator takes the label off, puts it on the part, does it again, right? Next part, next label. So there is an opportunity there to, if you get behind and you have to scramble and you forgot to put the labels on the parts as they were being cut, you might have a whole sheet of labels out there and you just grab the wrong one or put it on the wrong part or what have you. That is very, very rare. Once people get into the rhythm, it really doesn't. That never happens with cold cutting. It can happen with plasma cutting, because typically you have to let the parts cool before you label them to make sure that the labels are stick properly and everything else. But even with that, it's very rare, because the labels come out in the order that the parts were cut. And most people, and we train people to do this, include a cut order note on the label for their plasma cutters. So they, there's a whole bunch of hot parts sitting on the bed that were just cut, and they got to wait 15 minutes or so for them to cool off. And so they just grab the list of labels once the parts are all cool, and it says part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and you just peel them off and put them on one at a time, and that's it. So, the opportunities for human error are drastically reduced once you go to this kind of workflow.
Well, I think it's a good explanation. Thank you, David. Well, if there's no more questions from certainly viewers at this point, is there anything else, David, that you want to say before and we'll do a roundtable and just wrap up?
No, I just encourage people to throw some more questions in the chat if you have them. We still have a little bit of time left, and happy to answer anything. For
sure. Sam, do you have anything else to add to this?
No, I think I've spoken my piece.
I think you have too, and well done too. Derek?
No, not at all. I mean, obviously we're here to help everybody. It doesn't matter the size of your shop. We're always open to having conversations just to see if, what gaps people have in their, fabrication workflow, and if we can help you out in any way. And if PypeServer can't help you out, we're always more than happy to point you in a direction of one of our partners. Because at the end of the day, our overall goal is to make sure that the industry is progressing. So
tell us a little bit. So somebody, sees this and is interested in PypeServer. What is your process for actually introducing somebody, really understanding their environment so that they can understand, how this would work for them? Do they have the time and the manpower to take this on?
Yeah, so I mean, in the case for someone like Dilfo, we met at a, I believe it was like MCA Fabrication, or maybe it was MEP Innovations, right? Both hosted through the MCAA. We had a conversation about, hey, what are you guys trying to actually accomplish? What are you currently doing? Because at the end of the day, we really want to know, what your capabilities are, and in the direction that you're trying to take your shop. Because when you start, exploring, construction technology, there is or anything in life really, you can find your way chasing this shiny object, right? Ooh, that looks great. Let's try to, go and implement that. And then sometimes, when you're doing that, you get a little too far out in front of your skis and you end up landing on your face. So what we tend to do is we really want to understand, like, how's your shop currently operating? How are you guys, what's your current process for getting things out of the model? If you are modeling, how are you getting that down to the shop? What, equipment is in the shop? And then, where do you see yourselves in 5 years? Are you going to be making a change from AutoCAD over to Revit? Are you going to be adding a, positioning cutter, like a Tiger Stop, or are you trying to get into robotic welding? You already maybe have this, automated cutting systems going on. So we just kind of want to, it's like a first date. Let's sit down, have a conversation, really understand where you're going, what you're currently doing, and then we come to a conclusion on, can we help you out? Can we point you in the direction of one of our partners that can help you out, and so on and so forth.
Good.
Yeah, and just to expand a little bit, we really try to meet our customers where they are. A lot of folks, are using, as Sam mentioned, using spreadsheets as an integral part of their workflow, and they don't want to give them up just yet. Or maybe they're using, Acorn, now called Spool Fab, and they're happy with it. They don't want to go and do any 3D modeling in AutoCAD or Revit. Um, and so we've built our offerings to support, all of those workflows. So if somebody's using spreadsheets and they want to get the benefits of the cloud, we have a Windows app called the Cloudinator that will take spreadsheets and send them up to our cloud. And once they're in our cloud, all the benefits that you saw, the status tracking, the scheduling, the reporting, the metrics, um, the easy communication with the machines, all that stuff, it just follows. The fact that it started out as a spreadsheet is immaterial once it gets into the cloud. Same thing with the output from Spool Fab or other, more legacy design tools that are used in the industry that, don't know anything about the cloud or don't have an architecture that allows you to build add-ins and have them take advantage of it. So we've built tools to work with everything that people are using and will continue to use. Even folks who are going to Revit often have, a years long process of transitioning, and they're using multiple tools in parallel with Revit. And even companies who've moved completely over to Revit, if they take on a job for a third party, that third party may not be using Revit, so they still have a need to support those other workflows. So we've really made it our mission to to really support any workflow our customers have, and not try to force you into one small set of tools that work with our stuff. We make our stuff work with whatever you're using.
Yeah, I think you are a very strong integrator. And by the way, after this live stream, over the next coming days, Intelligent Construction Opportunities will be putting together a summary and a nice PDF for anybody that registered for this live stream, so that they have a full understanding of what we've discussed today and how all of this works from your perspective, whatever your role is, whether you're in the fab shop or VDC management like Sam is, or out in the field, managing the field in some way. I just want to also just mention that it's important to know from a role perspective. So how many people are generally at the table when they're making decisions being made to take on PypeServer? What is the experience from your perspective, Derek and David?
We want to make sure that ideally that VDC and shop, and if they're looking at the the app stuff as well, the field is involved in those initial conversations. It's useful for everybody to be able to see the whole picture. It doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes we'll meet with the VDC first, and they'll say, "Oh, this looks great, but we need to have another meeting with our fab shop," and we're happy to do that. But because it can touch every aspect from VDC to field, it's ideal if somebody from each of those internal functions is present during those initial conversations, so that they can see what we're doing and what we're capable of, and just as importantly, let us know what they need, so we can determine if our tools are the best tools for the job.
All right. Well, I think we're going to call it a wrap. I want to thank David, Sam, and Derek for such a thorough presentation, going in and out of the rabbit holes that I think would help to support the viewers. And as I said, there's going to be follow-up with some collateral for those that registered for today's live stream. And of course, if you're really hot to go on what you've seen today, get in touch with Derek at PypeServer, and you can find him on LinkedIn. And David, same thing. And Sam, I can't thank you enough for taking your time and actually showing your own experience for the viewers today on behalf of PypeServer.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Stephanie.
You're very welcome. You're very, very welcome. Look forward to seeing everybody. And I just want to flip here so you know, Renee Glendenning says thank you for a very powerful software. And certainly last but not least, Sam, great job.
It's always good when the boss chimes in.
Yes, it is. All right. I think I did all right.
I think so too. I think so too. All right, everybody have a great day. We'll be
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate
Bye-bye.
your time.